Have you ever thought that your simple morning routine might be quietly working against you? Most of us wake up, pour a cup of coffee, maybe toast some bread, and sit in the same cozy spot every morning. It's familiar. It's comforting. It feels like home. But what if one part of that routine, something you've done for years, could silently increase your risk of heart issues, dizziness, or even sudden collapse? That's what happened to my neighbour Harold, 76. He wasn't sick. He didn't have any major warnings. But one morning, after his usual breakfast, black coffee and toast with jam, he stood up, felt lightheaded, and everything went dark. Doctors later said it wasn't just bad luck. It was a perfect storm of low blood sugar, dehydration, and a spike in cortisol, all triggered by a seemingly harmless breakfast routine. As we get older, our bodies don't respond the way they used to. A habit that felt fine at 45 might be dangerous at 75, especially in the first hour of your day. In this video, I want to gently walk you through the breakfast habit that puts so many seniors at risk and show you how just 1 or 2 small changes can help protect your heart, your brain, and your balance. Now, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to help you notice what no one else might have mentioned, the little things that add up. Because breakfast isn't just about filling your stomach. It's about setting the tone for the entire day. It affects how your brain functions, how steady your hands feel, how well your heart handles small stresses, and whether you'll have the strength to do the things you love without worrying about dizziness or fatigue. What's tricky is that most of the breakfast mistakes older adults make don't feel like mistakes at all. They feel like comfort, like habit, like home. But after decades of the same pattern, your body might be trying to tell you, I need something different. Different now. So in this video, we're going to go through 6 quiet but common breakfast habits that can slowly chip away at your health. And I'll show you exactly how to gently fix them. These aren't drastic changes, they're small shifts, thoughtful choices, and they just might help you feel steadier, sharper, and more alive every single morning. Before we dive into today's tips, if you're new here and want to stay updated with more helpful videos like this one, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We're here to share practical advice that can make your mornings and your days better. So don't miss out on any of our upcoming content. Now, let's begin with the first, and perhaps the most overlooked habit of all. Mistake 1: skipping protein. Every morning. Some habits follow us through life without ever being questioned. They start small, become routine, and eventually feel like second nature. For many older adults, breakfast is one of those routines. Familiar, simple, unchanged. A slice of toast, maybe with jam or a bit of butter, a hot cup of black coffee, and that's it. No fuss, no extra steps. It feels light, easy, and enough. But the truth is, starting the day without any protein might quietly be working against you, especially after the age of 65. I think about my neighbour George, a kind man in his early 70s who always seemed full of life. He had the same breakfast every morning, toast, jam, and coffee. Nothing else. He said he never had much of an appetite in the mornings and preferred to keep it simple. For years, that routine seemed to serve him well, but gradually George began to feel more tired. He said his legs felt shaky when he walked down the porch steps. One morning, he stood up from the table and had to grab the counter to steady himself. That was when his daughter insisted he see a doctor. The doctor's visit revealed nothing alarming at first. His heart was steady. Blood pressure, mostly normal. But when asked about his diet, George explained his minimal breakfast. The doctor gently pointed out that he wasn't getting any protein in the morning. And for someone his age, that could make all the difference. As we get older, our bodies naturally lose muscle. That loss doesn't just make us weaker, it affects balance, metabolism, and even how well we handle stress. Protein helps maintain muscle mass, and without it, we become more vulnerable to fatigue, dizziness, and even falls. Even more, starting the day with just toast and jam, mostly carbohydrates, can spike your blood sugar quickly, only to let it crash a short time later. That crash can leave you feeling drained, shaky, or mentally foggy. It's not just about the calories, it's about what those calories are made of, and whether they're actually supporting the systems that keep you strong and steady. The good news? Fixing this doesn't require a complete diet overhaul. George didn't start cooking big breakfasts. He simply added a little bit of protein to what he was already eating. Some days, it was a hard-boiled egg. Other mornings. A spoonful of Greek yogurt or a slice of cheese alongside his toast. Occasionally, a few almonds or a tablespoon of peanut butter. Within a few weeks, he noticed the difference. His energy felt more even, and that unsteady feeling in his legs disappeared. Breakfast doesn't have to be complicated, but it does have to be intentional. Giving your body a small source of protein in the morning is like handing it the tools it needs to stay upright, stay focused, and move through the day with confidence. Now, even if you do include a little protein in your breakfast, there's another trap that many fall into. One that seems harmless, but can cause your energy to crash before lunchtime. Mistake 2. Eating sugary cereals or toast with jam. There's something about a sweet breakfast that feels safe. A bowl of cereal with a little crunch and honey flavor. A slice of toast with jam. Maybe a glass of orange juice. For many people, especially those who grew up during simpler times, this kind of breakfast is tied to comfort, familiarity, and a sense of ease. It feels like a light way to start the day without overwhelming the body. But what seems gentle on the surface can, over time, have a surprisingly harsh effect on how your body feels and functions. Take my friend Eleanor, for example. She's 73, sharp as ever, and always quick with a joke. Her morning routine hadn't changed in decades. She'd pour herself a bowl of cereal, the kind with sweet clusters she liked, toast a piece of white bread, and add a generous spoonful of strawberry jam. She told me it made her feel cheerful, like morning should, but lately she had started noticing something. By mid-morning, her hands would shake just slightly. Her heart would flutter a little after climbing the stairs. One day, she said she felt like the floor moved under her feet when she stood up too quickly. She laughed it off at first. "Probably just me being dramatic," she said. But after it happened a few more times, she agreed to speak to her doctor. The conversation surprised her. It wasn't about aging or medication, it was about blood sugar. The doctor explained that eating refined sugar and simple carbs first thing in the morning, with no protein or fiber to balance them, causes a rapid spike in blood glucose. That spike might give a quick burst of energy, but it's quickly followed by a crash. And for seniors, that crash isn't just about feeling tired. It can lead to dizziness, poor focus, and even an increased risk of falling. More importantly, without enough protein and fiber, the body can't stabilize itself after that drop. Over time, this daily rollercoaster puts stress on the heart and brain, making everyday tasks feel harder than they should. Eleanor had never thought of cereal and toast as risky. They were easy, sweet, and gave her a sense of routine. But once she understood what was happening in her body, she was open to changing the pattern. She didn't give up her morning joy, she just rebalanced it. She started choosing unsweetened oatmeal and added blueberries for a touch of natural sweetness. Instead of jam, she spread almond butter on whole grain toast. And on mornings when she wanted something simple, she ate a hard-boiled egg before pouring her coffee. Within 2 weeks, she told me the shaky feeling had disappeared. She said her energy felt more even, like her mornings weren't slipping out from under her anymore. That small shift, just replacing sugar with something steady, made her feel like she had taken back control of her day. Sometimes the sweetest routines aren't the ones made with sugar. They're the ones that leave you feeling steady, strong, and ready to face the day, not just for comfort, but for the strength to enjoy the life you love. But breakfast isn't just about what you eat. It's also about what you drink. And for many, the first drink of the day is a cup of coffee. Which brings us to the third mistake, Mistake 3. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. For many people, especially those who live alone, coffee isn't just a drink, it's a companion. It's the sound of the machine bubbling quietly in the kitchen, the warmth of the mug in your hand, the smell that drifts through the house and makes the morning feel real. A lot of older adults start their day with a simple cup of black coffee, often before eating anything at all. It feels like a gentle wake-up, a small pleasure. But few realize that drinking coffee on an empty stomach can quietly create problems that grow over time. That's exactly what happened to Mr. Jennings, a retired piano teacher who lives down the street. At 78, he still practiced every morning, still drove to the store on weekends, still called his granddaughter every Friday. But one day, during a walk around the neighborhood, he suddenly felt lightheaded. His heart was beating faster than normal. His palms felt clammy, and for a few seconds, he thought he might pass out. It passed quickly, but it scared him. When it happened again the following week, this time while simply sitting at the piano, he finally went to see his doctor. After a full workup, his doctor told him there was nothing seriously wrong, no signs of a heart condition, no stroke. But then she asked him about his mornings. He told her that he always drank a cup or two of coffee right after waking, long before he ever thought about eating anything. She nodded and explained that while coffee isn't dangerous in itself, having it on an empty stomach, especially at an older age, can cause a spike in cortisol, the body's stress hormone. This spike can lead to a jittery, anxious feeling, heart palpitations, or even nausea. Caffeine also stimulates stomach acid production. And when there's no food in the system to absorb it, that acid can irritate the stomach lining, leading to discomfort or even long-term digestive issues. More importantly, drinking coffee first thing in the morning with no fuel in the tank can drop blood sugar even further, especially if the body's energy reserves are already low after a long night without food. Mr. Jennings hadn't known any of that. Coffee had always felt safe, familiar, even comforting. But once he understood how it was affecting his body, he made a small shift. He started drinking a glass of warm water right after waking, then eating a small breakfast, sometimes just half a banana or a piece of toast with peanut butter before pouring his first cup. Within days, the shaky feeling was gone. His energy felt steadier, his thoughts clearer. He didn't stop drinking coffee, he just gave his body something to stand on first. It turns out that coffee, while a lovely ritual, works best when paired with care. The smell, the warmth, the comfort, they're all still there. But when your body has a little something to hold on to first, that comfort becomes strength. And that's the kind of morning we all deserve. Of course, some people skip the coffee. In fact, some skip breakfast altogether. And that brings us to a habit that's more dangerous than most people realize. Mistake 4. Skipping breakfast altogether. There's a certain pride that comes with not needing much. Many older adults will tell you they've never really been breakfast people. Some say they don't feel hungry in the morning. Others say they've just never gotten into the habit. A hot cup of coffee, maybe a glass of water, and they're off to start the day. But what seems like a simple, harmless routine can slowly wear down the body, especially when breakfast is skipped entirely day after day. Take Mrs. Campbell, for instance. At 75, she's still independent, still drives, still sends handwritten cards to every one of her 6 grandchildren. But over the past year, she had begun feeling off in the mornings. Sometimes it was a slight shakiness in her hands. Other times, a kind of mental fog that made her forget where she put her keys. She shrugged it off as aging, but one morning, while reaching for the top shelf in the pantry, she lost her balance and nearly fell. That moment made her stop and ask whether her body was trying to tell her something. At her checkup, her doctor asked the usual questions, then gently brought up her eating habits. When Mrs. Campbell said she didn't eat until late morning, or sometimes even noon, he explained that skipping breakfast after a full night's sleep means running on an empty tank. As we age, our bodies have a harder time maintaining blood sugar balance and muscle strength without regular nourishment. Going too long without eating in the morning can cause energy dips, slower reaction times, and even increase the risk of falling. The brain too depends on a steady flow of glucose, and when it doesn't get it, things like memory, focus, and mood can begin to suffer, even if subtly. Mrs. Campbell had always believed that eating less in the morning was better, lighter, cleaner, easier, but now she realized that skipping breakfast wasn't making her stronger. It was making her vulnerable. She didn't need a big plate of pancakes or a full spread. She just needed something small to start the engine. So she began with simple steps. A few slices of apple with peanut butter, half a piece of whole grain toast with some cottage cheese. On colder mornings, a little bowl of oatmeal with cinnamon. She noticed that the foggy feeling began to lift. Her balance improved. And most of all, she felt steadier, not just in her body, but in her spirit. Skipping breakfast might seem harmless, but for older adults, it's often the first missed opportunity of the day to give the body what it truly needs. A little nourishment, a little kindness, a little fuel to say, "You're still here. Let's begin this day strong." But even when you do eat in the morning, there's something else that can quietly affect your well-being, not what's on the plate, but the silence around it. Mistake 5. Eating alone in silence. There's a quiet kind of emptiness that creeps in when meals become silent. Not just the kind where there's no one across the table, but the kind where even the room feels still, where the clink of the fork becomes the loudest sound, and where each bite feels like something you're just getting through, not enjoying. Many seniors eat alone, and while there's nothing wrong with solitude, eating in complete silence day after day can slowly chip away at both the joy and nourishment of a meal. I remember Mrs. Evelyn, an 80-year-old widow who lived just 2 houses down from my aunt. She was elegant, always dressed neatly, always kind. After her husband passed, she kept to herself, said she liked the quiet. But over time, it became clear something was missing. She stopped setting the table. Meals turned into crackers and cheese on a paper napkin. When asked, she'd smile and say, "Oh, I'm not that hungry these days." But it wasn't her appetite that had faded. It was the meaning around meals. She later admitted that without someone to talk to, food just didn't feel like it used to. It became mechanical, a task, something to check off the day. What many people don't realize is that eating alone in silence affects more than mood. Studies show that when older adults eat in isolation, they tend to eat less, choose lower quality foods, and lose interest in cooking altogether. This can lead to unintentional weight loss, reduced energy, and even malnutrition over time. Silence at the table also magnifies loneliness. And loneliness, as doctors now recognize, has real effects on heart health, brain function, and even the immune system. When you eat without conversation, music, or connection, digestion slows and the body doesn't respond to food the same way. The absence of stimulation, emotional or social, creates a feedback loop that dulls appetite and dampens vitality. But the solution doesn't always require another person sitting beside you. Evelyn found a way to bring warmth back into her meals. She started turning on music during breakfast, not loud, just soft background jazz, something she and her husband used to enjoy. Some days she'd watch old cooking shows while she ate, letting the familiar voices fill the room. And once a week, she joined a neighbour for lunch, just a sandwich and tea. But it became the highlight of her week. She even started calling her niece every Sunday morning just to chat before breakfast. That phone call, she said, made her feel like she wasn't eating alone, even when she was. Eating is about more than food. It's about presence, about being reminded that you're still part of something, a rhythm, a relationship, a life that matters. And even in the quietest homes, a little music, a kind voice, or a shared moment can turn a lonely meal into something full of meaning again. And while that kind of emotional nourishment matters, we can't forget one of the most basic physical needs, the one many of us skip without even thinking. Mistake 6. Not drinking water in the first hour of waking. Sometimes the smallest gestures of care, like playing music during breakfast or calling a loved one, can bring the soul back to the table. But while emotional nourishment is vital, there's one very basic physical need that many people forget first thing in the morning. And that brings us to the final mistake, not drinking water within the first hour of waking. It sounds simple, obvious even, but you'd be surprised how many older adults begin their day with everything except hydration. Some reach straight for the coffee, others skip drinking altogether until lunch, and the signs of dehydration, fatigue, dizziness, dry mouth, poor focus, often creep in so gradually that we blame age or medication, never realizing it's something as basic as water. I think of Mr. Halpin, a quiet man in his 80s who still read the paper every morning and kept his rose bushes in perfect shape. He told me once that he never drank water in the morning, said it made his stomach feel too sloshy. Instead, he'd have a hot coffee, maybe a piece of toast, and nothing else. Over time, though, he started feeling more sluggish. His memory felt fuzzy in the early hours. He said getting out of bed was like dragging his body through sand. One morning, he lost his footing while reaching for a book on a low shelf. Thankfully, he didn't fall, but it shook him enough to bring it up at his next appointment. His doctor wasn't surprised. After some gentle questions, she explained that most people wake up slightly dehydrated. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep without fluids, the body is thirsty, even if you don't feel it yet. Water is essential not just for digestion and circulation, but also for maintaining blood pressure and brain function. When you don't replenish that that first thing, your organs have to work harder, your joints feel stiffer, and your mind may feel cloudy. In older adults, even mild dehydration can lead to serious balance issues, slower thinking, and unnecessary fatigue. Mr. Halpin took the advice seriously. He didn't like cold water in the morning, so he began warming it slightly and keeping a small glass by his bedside. Before his feet touched the floor, he'd sip half a cup. He was surprised by how quickly it made a difference. His mornings felt clearer, his energy more stable. He even joked that his knees complained a little less when he bent down to tend to the roses. Drinking water may not seem like much. It doesn't come in a pill, doesn't require a prescription. But it's one of the simplest, most powerful habits you can add to your mornings. A glass of water is like telling your body, I'm here. I'm listening. Let's begin today with care. If you're still watching, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these breakfast mistakes you might be guilty of, or what change you'll be trying first. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more helpful tips like this. So, let's quickly recap the 6 breakfast mistakes we've talked about today. First, skipping protein in the morning, leaving your body without the fuel it needs to start the day strong. Then, reaching for sugary cereals or toast with jam, which gives you a quick sugar rush but leaves you crashing soon after. Drinking coffee first thing, without eating anything, causes spikes in stress hormones and can leave you feeling jittery and unbalanced. Skipping breakfast altogether means you're starting your day on empty, setting yourself up for fatigue and poor focus. Eating in silence or alone can dampen your appetite and mood, making it harder to enjoy food. And lastly, not drinking water within the first hour of waking can lead to dehydration, leaving you feeling sluggish and tired. But the most important thing to remember is that all of this can change starting today. You have the power to make simple, easy adjustments that can help you feel stronger, more energized, and more balanced every single morning. Just adding protein to your breakfast, switching to healthier options, and hydrating your body first thing in the morning can make a huge difference in how you feel, how you think, and how you move through the day. Don't wait for tomorrow to start taking care of yourself. Start today. Each small change, Each small change is a step toward a healthier, happier, and more vibrant you. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you found these breakfast tips helpful and that they'll inspire you to make small but powerful changes in your routine. If you've learned something new today, please share it with us in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. We always read every comment, and your feedback means the world to us. It helps us create even better content tailored to your needs. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next video. We've got more exciting tips and advice coming your way. Thanks again for your support, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.